Okay, cool. Yeah, that's ready. Make sure that I'm there with Discord. Okay, let's go. Should be, yeah. Is it not going? Yeah, should be going. Cool. Close. That's fine, that's fine. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun. Okay. Yeah, let's hope this works. Rather, let's hope this is working. I think you can F11 this, right? What? Oh, what did I do? Did I do something? Oh, there it is. I think I can just do this. Bingo. Yeah. Heck yeah. Oh, no one can see me. I'm like dancing a little on stream, and no one can actually see me because it's not on the right camera yet. Hold on, let's fix that. Yeah. Alright. Let's very quickly check something. Yeah, yep, yeah. Cool. Just gonna chill a little bit for about 5 minutes before we actually get started. I'm gonna check to see if this actually works on the Discord. Beep. What? Really? No, I haven't. Oh, that's weird. It's video unavailable, but because it's disabled by the video owner. That's weird. I absolutely did not. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. Hold on. Huh. Okay. Tags. Lessons. There we go. Save. Okay, gonna try this. Gonna try this again. Okay. Yeah! Yeah! Yes! It worked! You can. Oh, sorry for scuffing that. It actually allows embedding on Discord. So if any of you are watching this on Discord, hello. Anyway, I'm gonna turn that off because now what's it called? I need to reserve as much what's called RAM for this instead of actually doing the other thing. You know what? I forgot to bring my water. I should get it. Did I bring it downstairs? Crunch stream. Yeah. Okay, we got about 3 minutes before we actually start in earnest. As I do have a bit of a what's it called? Method to this. Okay, got about a minute. Let's get started. Okay. Good thing we don't need to actually monetize this video because I'm pretty sure, like, any of this music that I'm using just as a BG is definitely not gonna let my video be monetized. Doing this for work, that's fine. Oh man, should we put like the should put like the what's it called, the thing for fame? That would have been wild. Okay. Alright, let's get started.
I don't think you always know what I say.
Alright. Hello, everyone. My name is Paolo Jassa, and I am the teen librarian here in the Govins branch of the Enoch Pratt Free Library. I am currently, ever since we figured out that we're able to do live streams in-house, and been able to actually do that, even if I have to kind of borrow a monitor from the office to actually do that. But for now, just like I said, my name is Paolo Jassa. I am the Govins Library's teen librarian. I am the Govins branch is part of the Enoch Pratt Free Library of Baltimore, Maryland, and today we're going to do a live stream book talk of Becoming Beatriz, the selection for this year's One Book Baltimore, which would explain the background right here. All right, let's see if I get this right. Yeah. All right, so this is basically our website in the Enoch Pratt Free Library that explains, One Book Baltimore. Essentially, it's a collaboration between several local organizations, local authors, to provide opportunities for Baltimore City 7th and 8th graders and younger and older, and their families and community members to connect through literature by reading the same book. It is similar to the One Maryland, One Book, but it's more localized to Baltimore City. And as such, we at the Enoch Pratt Free Library are holding programs all across the One Book Baltimore, it's called One Book Baltimore, time frame, I think, which is basically October until January. Holding book discussions, book live streams, various activities and stuff about the book Becoming Beatriz by Tami Charles. Let's see. All right, so as you can see, this is the book, and this is the author, Miss Tami Charles. The book is about exploring the theme of resilience, considering the year that's behind us, and quite frankly, the year that's happening right now. It's very much like a theme that would resonate with almost everyone. It's set in Jersey in 1984. It's a story about what's called troubled teens' navigation of romance and choices and their own past, present, and future, and how they manage to, get through it all. Essentially, the programs that we are there are several programs created by the library that are held in various locations in the Enoch Pratt Free Library branches, from Central to Govins to wherever. For example, and we're right here actually. We're doing the book discussion as we speak. One of the other things I should mention, because it is happening in the Govins branch as well, is the One Book Baltimore Community Dream Boards. Essentially, we're inviting community members to come in and then write their dreams on this nice board that we've set up. In the Govins branch, it is going to be directly in front of the adult reference desk, huge board with a picture of the One Book Baltimore book, which I should mention. It's right here, right here. One Book Baltimore book, and it asks, "What are your dreams?" To really just show that some people have the same dreams as you, some people have wildly different dreams, and hopefully, we can all get behind the fact that everyone has dreams and hopes and thoughts and things for the future, which is always nice. Anyway, as I've mentioned before, I should also mention, there are copies of this book available for anybody to read and borrow and take home and keep for themselves. I believe we have the Govins branch has 4 more books left. We have some books left. So if you could come in, grab a copy of the book, tell them I sent you, haha, and you'll be able to read the book along with everyone else as far as we can spread it in Baltimore City, so that we can connect through literature, or at least that's the hope. And it's a good hope. It's nice to be able to do like a huge community-based thing like this, being able to find a common thing to do all together and just discuss it, whether we liked it or not, how we felt about it, etc., etc. But more on that later, since we're going to do that later. All right, just going to very quickly check to make sure my live stream is still going. Yes, it is. We're good. Okay. Like, I worry about the live streaming thing because we're basically on Wi-Fi here, as opposed to my normal setup back home where I have like very fast wired internet. Wi-Fi here is great, but I don't always trust it, considering it's also being used by literally everyone else in the building. Anyway, so more about this book a little later. First, we're going to talk about Miss Tami Charles. I'm going to be referencing this from the Nope, that's not what I want. This is what I want, and this is what I want. Whoop. Double checking to make sure that I'm still on screen. Yes, we're good. Okay. Okay, cool. So we're going to be talking about a little bit about the background of Miss Tami Charles. As someone who, I was about to say, as an English major. No, I have an English degree. Thank you very much. As someone who has an English degree and has knows how to pick apart books and stuff and poems and all that, all the fun things you can do with an English degree, with the exception of making money. The one thing you need to do, the very first thing you need to do when you're reading a book is to know the context. Be it when the book was published, who is it published by, and who's the author, and most importantly, who is the author and the context of the author. So Miss Tami Charles is a best-selling author, All Because You Matter, and other children's books and younger books for young adults. She was an undergraduate of St. Elizabeth University. She has a Bachelor of Arts in Communication Studies. She has a master's degree in Educational Administration. What's it called? And is a principal, I believe. Yeah, and pursued her doctoral. Oh. ABD status. She's a doctor, Dr. Tami Charles. That's awesome. Essentially, but more to the point, she is a teacher. She's been a teacher for a very, very long time before taking the plunge and becoming a author. An author of, author of several books. Her debut novel was title. Like Vanessa, middle grade novel, and it earned lots of good accolades, etc., etc. She's also published Definitely Daphne, Fearless, Mary, Serena the Goat, and Becoming Beatriz, which is the book we're talking about right now. Her latest novel includes Muted, which is a BuzzFeed Top 40 pick, and the lyrical picture book My Day with the Pain, which received a starred review from the School Library Journal. It kind of feels weird. I'm old enough to remember when BuzzFeed wasn't like a actual news outlet, and now it is, to the point that the fact that somebody's book landed on a top 40 pick on BuzzFeed is a major accomplishment, and it is. I'm not going to downplay that. It feels a little weird. It kind of makes me feel a little old, but not as much as the other things that we'll talk about a little later. Anyway, her work has been highlighted in various magazines such as Essence, Entertainment Weekly, Marie Claire, The Today Show, etc., etc. As a teacher, I feel like she's got a better connection to understanding the world and hardships and developments of students and children that she writes about. And we'll definitely be able to see that in the book Becoming Beatriz as we continue along. So let's get into the meat of it. So, just to make sure we're still online. There it is. So, this is the book. This is the hardcover copy. Let's go. Actually, this is our copy, since it's the Govins branch. And it is about just under 200 just under 300 pages at 60 pages for a middle school slash high school novel. That's a not necessarily a hefty tome. It's not like Harry Potter 7, which is obnoxiously long, but it's still like decent length. Which honestly I kind of have an issue with in terms of the ending, but we'll get to that. So the blurb as it follows. Let's see. The blurb as it follows in in the reader's guide, which I'm basing some of my like book talk on, is after her 15th birthday, the most important thing in the world to Beatriz Mendez was her dream of becoming a professional dancer and getting herself and her family far from the gang life that had defined her days. That and meeting her dance idol Debbie Allen on a set of her favorite TV show, Fame. For those who are not 40 years old, Fame was a show that was aired in the 1980s, and we'll talk about that a little later. But after the latest battle in her constant turf war that leaves her brother, Juanito, dead and her mother grieving, Beatriz has a new set of priorities. How is she supposed to feel the rhythm when her brother's gang needs running, when her mommy can't brush her own teeth, and when the last thing she can remember of her old self is dancing with her brother, followed by running and gunshots? So, first page spoilers. Beatriz's brother gets gunned down by a rival gang in like a very vivid fashion. And like literally the first chapter, it's terrifying. As it should be. It's gang violence. It's never not terrifying. When the class brainiac reminds Beatriz of her love of the dance floor, her banished dreams sneak back in. Now, the only question is, will the gang let her go? Set in New Jersey in 1984, Beatriz's story is a timeless one of a teenager's navigation of romance, her brother's choices, and her own family's difficult past. A companion novel to the much-lauded Like Vanessa. I have not read Like Vanessa, but from what I can tell of the novel by itself, it stands alone very, very well. It is its own closed story. And it is definitely one about that rings true in terms of in terms of the themes of resilience through the entire novel, which is first person. Yes, which is first person, by the way. First person that includes flashbacks, that includes newspaper clippings of what happens, of current events, that sort of thing. You really get a sense of who Beatrice is and her, well, honestly, her transformation from antagonist to protagonist. um, she has her dreams, and she is basically trying to grip her way out of a life that very much has its hooks in her. She is essentially the head of like a local drug essentially not drug cartel, but like local gang that distributes drugs in and around the neighborhood and in her local high school. In fact, like one of the few fun scenes is like a scene that almost feels right out of Breaking Bad in terms of like, oh, it's the gang members looking around trying to discuss, oh, who's who's selling to who, etc., etc. And interspersed between that is just the flashbacks of how she got here. Literally, in terms of like her move from, I am blanking, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. Yes. Um, yeah, because the other group is Haitian, from Puerto Rico to the United States in Brooklyn. It is it is really, really it's kind of, like I love the flashbacks are accompanied by like her memory of dancing and dances. Let me very quickly look through some of the first one. Yeah, each flashback is labeled like a track, Danza Cha Cha, 1977, etc., 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 and it's written in gentle italics that like kind of are still in first person because it's obviously it's a memory. Um, and it comes in, I believe, several acts. Hold on. I need to make sure. Yes, it comes in like it follows a 3 act structure. Act 1 is basically how her life is kind of unraveling as she gets deeper and deeper into the gang after Juanito's death, and then the next part is how she finally had how her feelings of dancing kind of reawakens in her thanks to Nassar, and the next thing is like how is basically those two worlds colliding and how they're going to figure out how um how she tries to figure out like which way to go and how they're going to get through this because she really wants to work on her dream, which is again great great story. um Essentially one of the main plot elements, or rather um, one of the other like main themes in the book really is dreams, and quite literally because those flashbacks are essentially accompanied by like dreams of her past. Um, it's also a book about very clearly about immigrant life because, and slight spoilers for a character that comes in like a little more than like a third into the way of the book is Mr. Nassar Moreau, who's a new student, who like starts off being her like tutor, I believe, and ends up becoming a love interest. Spoilers. What's it called? And he is foundational in helping her achieve, or rather helping her realize, oh, this is not the life I want. I want let's go to quote the Little Mermaid, I want more. I want more. And it's very very just realized I don't have any BG on. Hold on, let's fix that.
I sayings. Where are you from? They're big boy.
Alright, this will just help me talk a little bit more. Alright, so, and dancing really is her escape. It's that, what's it called, even though dancing doesn't pay the bills, every time she watches her favorite TV show, Fame, she like can kind of visualize a life that doesn't involve this like terrible gang life that involves like drugs, violence, etc., etc., etc. And it's the only time that she finds her like mom. Let's go. It's the only time she finds her mom like actually like kind of alive, because ever since the death of Juanito, she's been catatonic, and this kind of is a bit of a wake-up call for her as well, because she realizes like, no, this I don't want this life, this sort of thing. And she makes her own path regardless of how not straightforward it is, and boy howdy is it not straightforward. The quote-unquote real antagonist would be the folks in the Diablos gang, specifically DQ, who is I think like a senior who steps up to become the leader of the de facto leader of the gang by stepping into his older brother's shoes, and kind of essentially does the dirty work, or rather the real work of making sure people have their supplies to distribute in high schools for drugs, making sure that they have like new contacts, making sure that anyone in jail as part of their gang like gets what's called, I think there's a major plot point where like another student thinks that somebody took out a hit on their like brother in jail, and that's how it's called. And I'm not gonna reveal who, but because that's real spoiler territory. That's how like these mysterious Polaroids of she thinks Haitian. Oh, I should also mention that there is a lot of Spanish in this book, which, for anyone who knows Spanish, is a second language bonus for you. It's easy if you don't know Spanish at all. It's easy to pick up what is being said through context clues, which is great. But if you do know Spanish, this book really does come alive a little bit more for you, because like it's about a story about immigrants and people in the 1980s. It's called. I love this line, like, no such thing as a gangbanger turned famous dancer, as what's called. I don't know who exactly spoke it, but essentially I think it's Beatriz. Beatriz, who tells herself that as a way to like put herself down. It's kind of sucks, but she really is working against the world in order to achieve her dreams through the what's it called? The not so NAC. What's it called? Act So, which is an actual what's it called? It's an actual program done by the NAACP, I believe. Details are a little fuzzy, but essentially that's how that she feels that is her ticket. And this is like 2/3 into the book. That is her ticket of getting out of the Diablos and into a life that she actually wants to lead. So, just making sure we're doing well on time. Okay, we're about 30 minutes in, or 20 minutes in rather. Okay, now this book is good. It's a fun read. It's a relatively short read. It's a fun read, and if like there's content warnings for violence, drug mentions, paraphernalia, gang life, etc., etc. I'm not sure if they swear in this one. I can't remember. I don't think they swear in this one. Which, considering it's like let's call a book about gang life in the 1980s in New Jersey, kind of surprising. Anyway, my one issue, like, this book is great. I'd highly recommend it, and it's a great pick for One Book Baltimore, considering its theme of resilience. And I can't wait to actually, and what's called, we'll talk about this later, since it's another thing that I'd like to mention. What's called? Well, where did it go? Oh no, that's later. There we go. We'll just do the Beiji right now. Alright, so the one thing I really didn't like about this book, or at least I found a little like puzzling in terms of a little puzzling, is the fact that it's a book written in 2019 for young adults, roughly around the age of like 8 to 10, 10 to 12 to 13, around the age range, basically higher middle school and lower high school. And it's set in New Jersey in 1984. To put that in perspective of how far away that is, any book that was written in the 40s, it'd be like a book written about World War I that was published in the 80s, in terms of how far away that would be. And so, like, I think one of the things that I was looking through there, I was reading this and I was thinking, would anyone really, the technology and like how people interact and communicate would be kind of pushed so far in a future direction that it's essentially historical fiction at this point, to try to imagine how people in the 80s like communicated and did all their like drug dealing and all that jazz. And so, like, I can see its appeal specifically for older people, but I'm not outside of the interesting, really riveting story and great themes about resilience. I kind of find it a little hard that like younger folks would relate to a book set in the 80s. In fact, despite that, I believe that despite that, like, I really don't have any other major complaints about this book. It's very well written. It's very well written. It's riveting. It's a great read. It's a relatively fast read too, because once you get into the action, I feel like it just moves and moves and moves and moves along. And like, I think slight spoiler, or actually, slight spoiler for the major spoiler. When you get to the twist in the book about why Juanito died, it kind of lends itself to a depth in the character of Beatriz that kind of like opens her character up a little bit more in terms of how she reflects of being her guilt and how she feels like her father and all that. But like, I feel like the ending was a little rushed. I feel like everyone got all their happy endings a little too quickly. But that's and I won't say how, but I it doesn't feel as earned as it should, if that makes sense. But that's just me being nitpicky in terms of like, oh, this feels right in terms of like, this is the character development arc of how she went about, and all that. It's also a little weird that like this book constantly mentions fame, and even I, a person significantly older than the target demographic of this book, kind of don't get the reference as much. And I like musical theater too. Like I thought I'd be able to like get like all the references to fame, but to that end, hopefully anyone who enjoys this book through the One Book Baltimore program here in the Enoch Pratt will be happy to know that we're actually getting Debbie Allen herself as a virtual like meet and greet, and like a virtual a virtual live stream with Miss Debbie Allen in conversation with Miss Tami Charles about their experiences with NAACP's Not So Act So achievement program and how they helped to do that, etc., in the 80s, that really lent itself to Tami Charles's experience and Debbie Allen's experiences, etc. So I really hope that you guys or anyone watching this live stream will attend this virtual event. It's completely free, as is almost all the programs in the Enoch Pratt Free Library, and it'll be live streamed on the Enoch Pratt Free Library's Facebook and YouTube channel. If nothing else, I really hope, I really do want to attend this myself, just to see, to add more depth to the experience that Beatriz has in the story through Tami Charles's own experience in creating it. And I really would love to hear the conversation between this legendary singer-songwriter, choreographer, dancer, actress, Miss Debbie Allen, with Miss Tami Charles, and that'll be really, really great. And I hope to see you all there. In any case, that's basically it in terms of my shilling and book talking for the One Book Baltimore book. Like I've said before, this program is a collaborative program all across Baltimore City for everyone to create connections and make discussions about resilience and other things through a common reading of this book. It is this year's One Book Baltimore selection. And I really hope you do read it. I really do hope that you read it. Again, there are several free copies available in almost any Enoch Pratt Free Library branch. My own branch has 4, so if you and 3 other friends would love to come in and grab a copy, that'll be great. We also have copies that you can borrow, of course. Unfortunately, you don't get to keep those. Only the ones we only have 4 about the ones you get to keep. Otherwise, if we don't have it, we can ask other libraries to send it to us to send it to you. No problem. We want to get this book in the hands of everybody in Baltimore who would be interested in learning more about resilience through this very, very tough year, through the story of Beatriz, as written by Tami Charles. Anyway, so like I said, Or rather, just to recall back in the beginning, my name is Paulo Jossa. I am the Govins Branch Teen Librarian as part of the Enoch Pratt Free Library in Baltimore, Maryland. And I hope everyone, I hope you guys find a copy of this book and read it. It's really, really fun. And I think I'm going to end the stream there, since it's basically been a half an hour of me talking. I hope I've sold this book to you, because I really do recommend it. It's a really fun book, really riveting. For now, I'm going to call it a day, and just let the stream run into the sunset. Thanks for watching, guys.